Hi, I'm Dan Zhao. I focus on building tools to help VR developers monetize more effectively on MetaQuest. To scale the MetaQuest platform, we must move away from manual processes to self-serve tools. You will see self-serve mentioned throughout the day. This doesn't mean that you're on your own. We're here today to talk through the tools that we've created to help you build a viable business on MetaQuest. We will start by reviewing a go-to-market playbook for apps launching into our store, highlighting the different ways our tools can help you ace your pre-launch checklist. Launching an app is not a singular moment. We want to provide the tools for you to plan ahead so that you're informed about the different monetization options and kickstart your marketing campaign months in advance. After your app launches, it's all about adapting to your audience and iterating into success. The user mix on MetaQuest is ever-changing, so it's important to have an experimentation mindset. A cover image that resonated with users 2 years ago might not actually be still relevant to today's audience. Many of you already know about our A/B testing tools, but there are other new levers that you should try as well. All right, I know this is a lot. We'll go through each of these tools in detail during our presentation. At the very end, you will hear from a developer partner directly to see how their team has utilized these tools. Now, I'll pass it over to Felix to kick us off with pre-launch tools.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, everyone. My name is Felix Navarro, and I'm a product manager on our VR app monetization team. My job is to help you run a sustainable business while selling your app on the MetaQuest App Store. Let's start with the new tool we've built to enable you to set country-specific prices for your app. Currently, the US-based MSRPs that you set for your app are automatically converted to different currencies globally via fixed price tier conversions. These automatic conversions don't take into account the ever-changing foreign exchange rates and pricing rules or the purchasing power of users in different countries, which can vary significantly from users in the US. Knowing the importance of being able to set these prices with these factors into account, we're empowering you with what we're calling our country-specific pricing tool. This tool will enable you to choose between relying on the current default conversion of your US-based price or choosing a specific price tier for each country in applicable territories. If you're a developer who doesn't already have an idea for how you'd like to price your app in each non-US country, no worries. We've kept you in mind. Along with the ability to set country-specific prices, we're building a conversion suggestion feature that takes your initial US price tier selection and suggests a conversion for the country that you've chosen. This tool is available to you today and could be used for your app pre-launch and post-launch. Make sure to check it out. Now let's talk about how you can leverage add-on content to further monetize your app in the MetaQuest store. Some of you have designed your apps around add-on content from day one, while others have begun implementing this as part of your monetization strategy post-launch. For anyone not using add-on content, we highly recommend that you strongly consider this as a lever, as a way to further engage your existing user base and as a way to help drive additional monetization beyond the initial purchase of your app. If you didn't already know, each of your add-ons will get dedicated product detail pages that will allow you to leverage video and image assets to provide more context for your content. Additionally, add-on content with PDPs can appear in search results relevant to your content, allowing for increased discovery for your app and its add-on content. Lastly, as a result of developer requests for more add-on content prominence, we're building ranked add-on content shelves in the storefront and the ability to create promo codes for your add-on content as well. To opt into these features, navigate to the add-on sections in your developer center. Now on to another monetization model, subscriptions. Subscriptions are another approach towards driving monetization for your app, but particularly for new app types that don't conform to the traditional one-time purchase monetization strategy. Our improvements since last Connect have empowered developers with self-serve tools to facilitate user acquisition, such as introductory pricing. And pursuant to your feedback, we've also shipped improvements to the ingestion flow, improved documentation, and we've also streamlined our review process from what was once a 2-week duration to providing approvals within a single day on average. We have even more updates in store for subscriptions focused on performance and user retention. Keep an eye out for additional announcements later this year. Passing this back over to you, Dan, to talk about pre-orders.
So we've talked about app pricing and the different monetization models. Now, let's pivot to marketing and building your initial audience. To help with this, I'm excited to announce that we've made Coming Soon and pre-order pages available to all developers launching a new app in the MetaQuest store. Previously, setting up a pre-order page was a highly manual process, so we were limited by the number of listings we could set up in a given year. Now, you can request a Coming Soon or pre-order page in the Dev Center after you have your assets ready. A pre-order page enables users to pre-purchase an app and can be set up 90 days prior to app launch. A Coming Soon page lets users wishlist an app and can be set up 180 days before launch date. We recommend that you set up a Coming Soon page on MetaQuest as early as possible to start generating interest in your new app. Then, when you get closer to launch, convert that listing to a pre-order page. We are still working to enable this feature for App Lab developers. So for now, pre-launch listings is only available to apps launching to the store. Setting up the listing itself is just step one. We've recently added the ability to use our store A/B testing tool on pre-launch assets, so you can optimize your PDP assets prior to release. This way, you can test into your best performing screenshots or trailers before launch day. We also launched a new pre-order analytics dashboard to help you track the number of pre-orders throughout the pre-launch period. Now, let's watch a quick video that shows how easy it is to request a pre-launch page and what the different pages look like in the store. You can specify a pre-launch listing as your very first app submission. Start by navigating to the pricing tab in the app submission page. You can request a Coming Soon or pre-order page. It's important to select a launch date that you're confident about. If you're not sure about the launch date, select the season granularity, which will show users that your app will launch in spring or summer rather than an exact date. A binary is not required initially, but you should plan to upload one several weeks in advance of the launch date for testing and verification. All of the store metadata, such as screenshots or descriptions, are required to set up a pre-launch listing. Here is a view of the analytics page where you can track your pre-orders. And lastly, here's what a pre-order page looks like on the MetaQuest store. All right, I have another new feature to announce. I'm excited to share our recent launch of custom promo codes, a flexible, self-serve incentive program that developers can set up in our Developer Center. Create codes that apply a % discount to your app, specify its duration and limit, and turn the codes on and off at will. We imagine that you will use this to fund VR influencer campaigns, track marketing campaign effectiveness, and maybe even test out user acquisition at a real-world event like Connect. We designed this tool in a flexible way to accommodate different use cases. For consumers, they can simply apply these codes at checkout, just like other existing codes. I know we've just launched this feature, but we're already thinking about future iterations. One of the features we plan to ship later this year is the ability to combine promo codes with try before you buy, allowing you to send promo codes to users who tried your app but have not yet converted. Trial users are a high-intent cohort we believe are worth retargeting. I look forward to coming back next year and sharing some of the creative ways you all have utilized this tool. Now, let's watch another short clip to show you how easy it is to set up a promo code. Multiple promo codes can be active at the same time, and we've built the dashboard so that you can track different campaigns. Currently, promo codes only apply to paid apps, but we plan to enable these codes to work with subscriptions and IAP later this year. You, the developer, are responsible for distributing these codes, so we recommend setting a limit. Lastly, we have a high-level analytics page to help you evaluate the ROI of different code campaigns. As I mentioned earlier, there isn't a single formula for growing your app post-launch. Instead, we recommend using informed experiments to learn what resonates with your audience on MetaQuest. The Store A/B testing tool exemplifies this approach, allowing you to set up A/B experiments with 5 different PDP assets to identify the variants that convert better. Testing new assets can be effective, even for apps that have been on the store for several years. Because our audience mix on MetaQuest devices are always changing, we suggest that developers test regularly. To help developers iterate faster, we've recently launched the ability to test multiple assets in the same experiment, allowing you to test a bigger change of your store PDP at the same time. One quick tip about A/B testing: we see many experiments ending early before stat-sig results are reached. We recommend letting your experiments run longer, as the first few days can generate noisy results. The next tool that should be familiar with many of you is Try Before You Buy, which we launched last year around this time. Try Before You Buy enables users to access a trial of your app prior to purchase without any changes to your code. You can enable trials between 10 to 30 minutes in length and run an experiment to determine if the trial helped with your overall app conversion. Try Before You Buy doesn't work for all apps. We've actually seen examples of apps converting worse after enrolling in this program, so we recommend that you use our experiment tool to test this for your app before rolling it out more broadly. That said, trials are popular with our users. Over 300,000 users have trialed an app in the past month, with an over 15% post-trial conversion rate. We think that many of our users are new to VR, so they might be hesitant to purchase a new app. Trials help increase buyer confidence and help to reduce negative reviews and refunds from uninformed purchases. Now I'm going to pass it back to Felix to talk about some new features you will be able to A/B test for your app.
Thanks, Dan. All right. A common question we get asked by developers is, how can I make sure that I have the best price for my app at all times? This is an important question to ask over the lifecycle of your app, since you always want to meet the perceived user value prop for your app post-launch and throughout the lifecycle of your app on the MetaQuest store. Well, to empower you to answer this question in a self-serve way, we're shipping a price A/B testing tool that will allow you to choose up to 2 test prices at a time that you can test and market. Whether your goal is to increase revenue or daily active users, or if you're simply trying to understand the price elasticity for your app, you can use this tool to generate the data that will help you make a decision on whether or not you should adjust your prices to better align with users' perceived value prop for your app. Some of you might have already beta tested price A/B testing with us, and others will be excited to know that the MVP of this self-serve tool will be available to you within the next 2 weeks. If you're excited about this feature, keep an eye out for our launch announcements in the coming weeks. As Dan mentioned earlier, our goal is to give you the tools that will help you achieve commercial success on the MetaQuest platform. The monetization levers that we just covered are levers that are available for your use today or shortly after Connect. And now we want to take a moment to share with you some exciting levers that we plan to ship to all of you in the near future. The first item on our future roadmap is a follow-up to what we've hinted at last year, and it's what we call immersive previews on PDP. One of the most common pain points we hear in user feedback is the inability to get a deep understanding of the in-app experience of a VR app before purchase or download. And honestly, this isn't surprising. We're selling users content that is fully immersive and experiential, but the way we help users learn about these apps still utilizes the methods used for games played on 2D form factors, such as 2D images and 2D videos. A deeper understanding of your in-app experience, along with a bit of wow factor, can help you get that final push to grow buyer confidence enough to get users purchasing your app. We were able to prove this out in 2 experiments we've run so far, with our most recent experiment having 20 participating apps. During this experiment, apps with an immersive preview on their VR PDPs saw an additional 2.5% lift in revenue from users who visited their PDPs with this experience. One app from our experiment experienced a 17% gain in revenue from users exposed to the feature. These are exciting results, and it proved to us that this is a powerful tool for driving buyer confidence and conversion at the app level. With these kind of results, we want to empower all developers to be able to provide this experience to MetaQuest users. I talked about the experiment results. Now let's take a look at the exact experience that we tested. Users who visited app PDPs with immersive previews were immediately transported into the universe of the app via an environment change. We tested this experience with skybox assets to give users a perception of immersion into the app in a way that was still low lift for developers in creating the assets. Given the experiment results, we'll want to continue exploring ways to enable you to grow buyer confidence with higher fidelity assets, such as traversable environments with animation, or ways to showcase the MR capabilities of your apps. Our next steps are to refine the UI of the experience, enable users to opt out of the experience if they don't want to see it, and to enable developers to A/B test these assets post-launch. We plan to continue testing iterations of this experience throughout Q4, and our goal is to scale an MVP to all developers and users in Q1 2024. Now let's talk about MetaQuest Plus. You may have heard about our new platform subscription service called MetaQuest Plus that launched in June. This program consists of bringing 2 titles to subscribers each month, which will be a top hit and a hidden gem, for $7.99 per month or $59.99 per year. MetaQuest Plus helps users confidently and easily discover and explore highly desired apps with a focus on value. We're exploring pulling in more titles per month, discounts, deals, and IAP into the program, ultimately helping developers maximize revenue and reach users in a new way. Stay tuned for more on this in the coming months. Regarding other future roadmap items, we have a bunch of features on our roadmap that you should keep an eye out for, spanning from enhancements to subscriptions, more add-on content tooling, pricing tooling, and other areas where we'll continue to ship enhancements and self-serve tooling for you to own your destiny on the store. Before I wrap up, I just want to give a major shout out to a few developers that have used and benefited from the majority of these monetization levers that we discussed, and who have participated in a suite of experiments over the past year to help us prove the value of these tools. Now passing to Maeva Sponbergs to share more on the conversion funnel and optimizing your media assets in the MetaQuest store.
Greetings, everyone, and thank you, Felix. I am super excited about the upcoming immersive previews. It's absolutely something we want to try out in the future. My name is Maeva Sponbergs, and I am fortunate enough to spend my days facilitating talented development teams to achieve a successful launch and to take their products beyond. Beyond Frames, as an XR-focused publisher, represent more than 9 partner developers with 12 different titles distributed on both Store and App Lab. My focus today is how important your store key art is for monetization. The art of creating clickable art. Now, why is that important? Can you really put a number on something as subjective as art? I would like to argue yes. I will quickly go through a few basic marketing concepts to align everyone on the fundamentals before jumping into 2 case studies. Quite simply, we can attribute sales of a game in 2 ways: via store discovery, where the user browses the store to find their next adventure, and direct attribution, which directly links the user into your product page. Direct attribution is super important, but it's also a whole talk on its own, so for this session, I will focus on the store discovery part, and why your game's key art is a main driver for that conversion funnel. Now, for those of you who immediately think, are you crazy? The trailer is for sure the most important. Bear with me. If you don't agree when this session is done, send me an email and we can debate it virtually. 16th century scientist Galileo Galilei said it best: measure what can be measured and make measurable what cannot be. When it comes to art and measurability, however, there are many subjective ways to judge beauty in an art piece. But in marketing, we can make art more objective through different established principles. A funnel like this is one way to add objectivity when assessing your store art with measurable results. It is also why you should spend time in your dashboard and acquaint yourself with the funnel data available in the analytics section. And yes, us marketing people, we do love talking about funnels. So here I've opted to showcase a simplified version of a conversion funnel that translates to the data you have available in your developer dashboard. Awareness is the customer browsing the store, maybe undecided with potential to gear up for something new. Interest, though, is where something has caught the attention of the user, something worth investigating. That interest might, result in a purchase decision down the line. The awareness phase, browsing the store, is what we call top of the funnel. In every step below, the customer naturally has a chance to drop out of the funnel, which decreases the chances for conversion. And this is where your key art comes into play. The key art drives the top of the funnel together with the title name. Hopefully, both are enticing enough so that the user clicks through to your product. Ergo, good art drives the funnel. Your product detail page, or PDP, sits here in the second step under the interest phase. This is basically why one could argue, and I am, that the product's key art in the store discovery funnel is your most important asset. If the user doesn't initiate the first click to your PDP, you could have an award-winning trailer, but nobody would actually see it. Now, this is a screenshot from an actual titles funnel data in the developer dashboard, just overlaying the funnel steps to hopefully better translate what we just saw in the previous slide. In short, your combined reach to unique clicks is the user seeing your product on store and clicking into your PDP. The final step into unique conversions is the purchase decision having been made and executed, which then translates into sales. And this down here is where the art piece starts to become measurable and where you can utilize A/B testing to attempt improving your numbers. For example, if your reach is great, but your reach to unique clicks is low, you might want to consider initiating an A/B test for your key art. If your unique clicks to conversions is low, the rest of your PDP assets, such as the trailer, screenshot, and descriptions, might warrant a test. Now that we're hopefully aligned on the importance of product key art as a primary asset for store discovery, and that it is indeed measurable, let's look at how we at Beyond Frames develop key art in general, and with two examples. We have the pleasure of working with a range of concept artists, both internal as well as external. As it varies between projects, we have made an art brief standard that helps us quickly translate the best practices we need to consider when starting a new project. It outlines basic technical requirements such as resolution, file layer structure, and file formats, but also logo placement constraints, variation of formats and sizes. The key art needs to be adjustable to a variation of vertical and horizontal formats, and this is also something useful for A/B testing down the line. And the fact that it needs to fit 3 different display surfaces. Now, speaking of display surfaces, one of the most important considerations, in our opinion, is the fact that the key art needs to be readable in headset, on mobile, and on the web, in that order. We have worked out of the presumption that in-headset and mobile display surfaces have been the primary drivers for conversions for a while. I am thrilled to have received confirmation from Dan and his team that this is indeed the case, and that approximately 85% of conversions on MetaQuest Store happen over headset or mobile as opposed to the web. Now, from a design perspective, this requires us to also test assets in headset and mobile first. This put additional requirement on readability of the art in small formats and hence the composition and the amount of objects placed into the frame. All of these requirements and constraints should be put into the brief and given to the artist working with your artwork as early as possible in the project. Remember to include the guidelines available in the developer portal and, of course, add in plenty of information about your game. Now let's dive into the case studies. Arcanade is an App Lab graduate and an exciting retro-themed arcade shooter that immerses the players into the nostalgia of the 70s and 80s. The original key art, as you can see here, is what we marketing people lovingly call developer art. The initial artwork had positive aspects. It prominently featured the logo, the main antagonist, Aid, the big character in the background, and the objective, which is protecting the AI arc, represented by the blue cube. It also captures the game's art style, and the logo remained readable even in small sizes. But the image overall didn't quite translate the gameplay, nor did it showcase many of the fun and wonky bosses we were adding in the graduation process. For the revamp of the key art, we went through a number of sketches and were toying around with the concept of having the player's perspective present. Although we really loved the second concept, we decided for the first one due to the color choice, which is true to the game, as well as a more appropriate logo placement. The entire finalized art piece, as you can see here, is available layered. We can subtract any of the elements and easily change the color scheme and background in the future. As I hope is also apparent, it reads fairly well in small formats. The developers were happy with this version, and we hope you agree it's an improvement. Now for the second case, Space Folk City. It was the first city builder for MetaQuest, and its initial key art, crafted by a very talented Brazilian artist, was a visually stunning representation of the game's quirky and creative universe. We really felt it nailed describing the game, as well as capturing the soul. Well, however, after some time, we realized that it was effective only if the players were already familiar with the game. Those who found and purchased it understood it, and it received positive reviews. Still, it struggled to attract users at the top of the funnel, resulting in lower conversions. We also made one crucial mistake with the key art by proofing it on the web. It was very hard to see what type of game it was in the search list on store. For the revamped key art, our focus shifted to readability in smaller formats and communicating the core gameplay. We incorporated a hand strategically, placing objects while trying to preserve the game's quirky characters. Now, this was a true killing your darlings exercise for the development team and us alike, but after proofing the numbers with a variation of monetization tools, including a base price reduction and activation of try before you buy, we now feel that the title's performance is on track. As a final remark, I'd also like to leave you with the recommendation to consider seasonal themes and updates to any game where appropriate, including updating your game's key art to fit the update. In conclusion, both case studies emphasize the importance of key art in driving store discovery and highlighting the need to adapt and iterate when it comes to your game's key art. I hope I managed to inspire you to effectively measure and prove out your store funnel and to utilize the monetization tools at hand. Thank you.